This conference will now be recorded.
Very good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our Honorable Secretary General, Dr. G.P. Agarwal and Dr. Sanjeev Layak, Executive Secretary WASME, heartily welcome Mr. Anshav Jain, founder and MD Bringle, for contributing his valuable and precious time to make available for organizing live webinar Series 3, Idea to Unicorn, a $1 billion dream, process and digital transformation. My special thanks to Mr. Anshav Jain for partnering WASME in this webinar. I also welcome all the dignitaries who have taken out valuable time to participate in this webinar. Let me brief about WASME, a global organization having member representatives in more than 100 countries, spearheading the cause and development and promotion of SMEs worldwide. Am I audible? Spearheading the cause and development and promotion of SMEs worldwide through policy advocacy, information dissemination, conferences, seminars, events, trainings, publication, network linkages, and many more since 1980. WASME has the consultative and observer status of United Nations. When it comes to what is going on in the world today due to COVID-19 pandemic, there are two levels of disruptions when it comes to businesses. Firstly, the routine sales meets and travel and softer aspect of closing a deal, especially for B2B sales, where a face-to-face discussion with key stakeholders or a dine and meet is a key to iron out contours of a deal. Secondly, a drop in demand from clientele in certain sectors like travel, hospitality, timeshare, aviation would see a would see a would see a corresponding steep drop in their interest levels to carry on with many business functions, and every other sector will be in a conservative mode and level keen to spend. Digital transformation is the process of using digital technologies to create new or modify existing businesses processes, culture and customer experiences to meet changing businesses and market requirements. The reimaging of businesses in the digital age is digital transformation. As this pandemic has disrupted businesses, including MSMEs, no clue when and how it stops. I'm not going in details as we have esteemed guests to discuss on our live webinar, Series 3, Idea to Unicorn, a $1 billion dream. Today's topic, process and digital transformation. Let me introduce Mr. Anshav Jain, founder and MD Bringle Academy. Is a corporate professional with 18 plus years of experience with expertise in business process, re-engineering and transformation, strategy planning, automations, and RPA AI deployment and change management. He has executed 1,000 plus projects with $100 plus million hard savings to organize through his interventions. Anshav is a Lean Six Sigma MBB and PMP certified professional, worked with CFI, Reliance, WNS, SR, and TCS, and has been a serial entrepreneur and have established 5 startups and mentored dozens of startups. May I invite Mr. Anshav Jain to put his throughout on this topic. Mr. Jain, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Megha, for such a nice introduction, and that gives me, it's my privilege to be part on WASME's platform and giving this presentation. So, first of all, welcome all of you, and hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, visible.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay, for confirming that. Now, with this, I think I just want to know whoever was available in the last sessions and how many people so that I can drive my presentation accordingly. Today, we are going to talk about process and digital transformation, but I will want to kind of quickly brush through a little bit on the earlier topics because that is going to be very, very important for everybody. So please type I if you were there in the last two sessions. If you have attended any one of the session as well, please type I in the chat window. Looks like mostly the new audience is there, which is pretty good. So I'll just give you a little brief about it. The detailed recording you may definitely get it from Vasme. They will be sharing, they can share that with you. Every idea can shape up into a business, but 97% of the businesses doesn't survive. There's only less than 0.01% businesses who actually eventually turn out and achieve their billion-dollar dream. And that's the stage of most of the businesses today, be it MSME, be it a startup. Startup is just a word when you have just an idea, you're not even have reached to a level where you can even doing a proper business. It is much before an idea stage. But when you are established MSME, you have lot of struggles, you have lot of work which you need to do, and eventually make them more sustainable, adaptable to the current scenarios, and eventually scale them to a billion-dollar dream. With this, what I am looking at is Design Your Unicorn is a cross-border holistic transformation experiential learning program which will help solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, business owners to sustain, adapt, and scale up their businesses from the first level, which is from idea, till the time they scale up to the unicorn level. This program is it's customized to focus on developing the growth mindset, developing the skill sets of the founders with a lean mindset so that they can have a more frugality into the ecosystem. With supported by various mentors and coaches who handholds you end to end, starting from at different stages of your journey towards your organization growth. The support on fundraising, investment supports, legal, various other aspects, and also provide a global support. Vasme, in association with Bringle Excellence, we are contributing towards supporting this initiative of supporting the micro and small and medium enterprises now for the entire level of the stage, right from their third generation requirements of technology, utilizing the same businesses which you are running currently in a more physical mode, how you can convert that into digitally and scale up those businesses probably 100 times, 1,000 times from there, and eventually to a unicorn. This was the 21 days business sustainability challenge, which we conducted with almost 5,000 plus MSME owners and entrepreneurs, wherein they have participated, in this 21 days series. It was daily series. 80 plus speakers were invited. They have gathered from 30 plus countries. They have created 400 plus pearls of wisdom, and eventually into the 4 stages of it: thought leadership, customer experience, process transformation, and value generation. This is what at Bringle Academy, what we are supporting at developing the right product market fit strategy for the MSMEs and the entrepreneurs, identifying their target segments, product levels, which are 5 levels of productivization, and eventually to go to market strategy. Now, what is holistic transformation? This is what we spoke last time. It constitutes of 4 aspects of transformation. The one is the thought leadership, your individual leadership. You are the brand of your organization. You are the CEO of your brand. You have to be more showing yourself as a leader, as a more brand influencer. And that is where it comes in more important, because that is not only important for your customers, but also important for your employees. Because employees will stay back only if they are able to connect with you as a leader. You are able to connect with them more empathetically. you are having more strong emotional intelligence skills. You are working with less anxiety and stress within the organization. Then the second aspect comes in. Once you have the right team, right idea, you have the right business model available, you start generating businesses, which is your sales and marketing. And during the entire sales and marketing process, the entire everything you have to look at from the customer perspective, whether they are happy or not. Your processes have to be aligned, especially sales and marketing processes with respect to your customers. You should be able to understand your customers very, very well. And when I talk about customers, it is both about internal customers, which are your teams, and your external customers, which are your actually clients. So remember this aspect, which is going to be very, very important. Once you start generating certain revenues, or you might be already having good amount of revenues, you will have to look at more at a transformation angle, where you will be able to bring in more profitability, set up the right processes, work on a digital aspect of it, finding out a unique buying proposition, and with a more and more profits with less and less team management into it. That is your transformation roadmap. And eventually, once you generate a value generation where you are able to create value, you probably will be creating some patents, some specific unique positioning in the market. You'll have to manage your finances. You'll have to look for investments. All those aspects come at a later stage. Most of the times, what we do as a mistake is that we always start by raising some investment and then trying it out, go back into the market. We develop certain product, then we find out the right customer for them. Ideally, you should be finding out the customer, then understand their requirements, and then create a product accordingly. And as we discussed last time, it has to be the first level of product initially. We spoke about value proposition last time. How do we create a value proposition? This is the more detailed version where you can create identifying your customer, influencer, and a user into it, narrow down your target segment, you identify their problem areas, and then you find out what product can help them very differently to solve their problems. Create a complete value proposition document, look values from the eyes of the customer, identify their benefits which you can provide, what is that they have to spend to achieve those benefits, so that you can price your product accordingly, and also do a comparative analysis. We also, in the second session, we spoke about selling. Why does selling have a negative association with it? What are the three types of customers? And we did have a case study at the end of the second session last week. So please go and watch that. It's a very beautiful case study which could help you to understand more about your businesses, where you might be going wrong. The customer graduation system. How do you graduate your customers from one level to second level, second to third level? And who you should not be selling to. You should not be selling to a wrong customer. If a customer is not ready, please do not sell them. We also spoke about lead magnets. We talked about create a product which is one level below than your minimal viable product, which we call it as extreme value proposition. Then only you filter it out and create a minimal viable product, and it keeps iterating. Then you create your main offering, which we always call it the main product. And then you finally have an offer by which you can able to retain your customers over and over and over again. And that's why you will have repeat customers. That's the entire model which companies like Ola, or even any unicorn follows this process. They start very slow and they eventually grow up to the level of the retained customers. This is the lead generation process which you can follow as a onto that. And again, it's going to be very, very important, because everywhere everything is about process, and today's topic is all about process and digital transformation. So unless you have the right processes in place, your people also would get confused, and some technology company would come in and say, you put this technology, you will not need people. But believe me, we always will need people. Technology is just an enabler. They cannot replace people. They cannot replace skill sets. So remember this, that the lead generation, right from your lead generation till your completion of the customer service, is the entire thing is a process. So map up the journey of your customer. We spoke about objection handling system. We spoke about closing techniques, why you should be there on social media, why you should show yourself as a brand of your company, why you should look at a digital marketing aspects of it. Now you can do it yourself as well, and you can, or you can hire somebody. Initially, we don't advise businesses to spend on lot much on Facebook ads or paid ads. Focus on organic growth. It will be little slow, but focus on there. Work with your existing set of customers and grow them and nurture them to a next level. You will face a lot of objections, and how you are going to handle them is what we spoke about that. More details can be taken up accordingly. Now I'm coming to the main topic of today. Until now, I'm just taking a little pause out here. And if anybody has any questions, you can please raise it right now till whatever you have learned till now, so that I can include that in my today's presentation. And if you were there in the last time and you still have some questions available, either you can put it in the chat window or you can unmute yourself and talk. I'll give 2 minutes to everybody. Okay, so looks like not many people have much questions, so I'll move ahead from here. Everybody is now talking about digital transformation. Everybody is talking about technology is going to take jobs. Technology is going to take businesses. I am not sure how many of you are aware, but Facebook also had to shut down their artificial intelligence system because their robots, the soft bots, have started developing their own coding language which humans cannot understand. 90% of the technology systems, the high-end systems being used in most of the corporates or MSMEs or even startups, they have not been able to use it. And I'm not even talking about simple systems like your Facebooks, your WhatsApp, your emails, your some of the ERPs, tele. These are very basic systems, but most of the times we are unable to use it. And that is why I always say to people, businesses are from Mars, technologists are from Venus. Now, I don't know how many of you have read this book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Anybody has read this book? Type me if you have read this book or you have at least been aware about this book. Type me in the chat window. Have you been aware about Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus? Nobody has read. Okay, so so that book basically talks about that how men and women are totally different, and this is how our businesses and technologists are working today. Now, the only linkage between businesses and technology is something called process. This everything what we do, even if we make a tea, it is a process. Somebody, I will ask them, what kind of tea do you, how do you prepare your tea? Some will say, I will put up water first, I will boil it up, then I'll put ginger, I'll put tea leaves into it, and I'll put sugar, then I will let it boil for some time, then I will add milk and let it boil for some more time, and then I'll filter it and drink. Some people will say, I will put elaichi first, I will put some bit of adrak, and then I will put tea leaves and things. Some people put everything together and then they boil it out. And some people like elaichi tea, some people like adrak tea, or some people may not like that. So all these things are different processes. The customer, it depends from your customer. If your customer wants an elaichi tea, and you give him only a ginger tea, the customer will not like it. Your product is good, your tea is very good, but you have chosen a wrong customer, or your tea has not been made as per the likes of the customer. And that is why your business model has to talk very clearly about customer interests. That is why customer journey map has to be there. You should understand and know what does your customer want. What is the process of preparing that product which customer will eventually like. Once you use that process and make it as a product, you give it to use it, let it be used by the customer, and if customer likes it or dislike it, you change your process again. Till that time you do this multiple trials, whatever technology you put, you will always have a challenge. So I'll always give this example to people, and I think I would want to spend a little bit more time on business and technology and why process is important, how technology transformation is linked with process transformation. So there is, I think because I don't get a response out here, then only I will do. So if somebody wants an example, then only I will give. If I get some a response on the chat window, then only I'll take this example. But I'll just move ahead from here as of now. Transformation framework has 7 layers. 7 levels of transformation you need to go through. 1, your leadership has to be aligned. They should have a shared goals, objectives, scope, approach aligned on that, which we have talked about in the value, the value proposition, the thought leadership area. The second aspect of it is that you should define your scope very clearly. Who is your customer? What are the people you will require? The team you will require? What should be the right process for it? And what kind of basic systems or technology you will need? Develop work streams. Prioritize processes, parallel work streams, which you give more benefits to the customer, faster turnaround. Create better teams. Design your target operating model, which is your detailed process structure, technology framework, structure, and roadmap for the entire growth strategy. Manage change. Once you start doing it, people start working onto it, be it 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, or 500 employees. It really doesn't matter. There will be conflicts. There will be changes required. People are habituated to do certain things in a certain manner. If you yourself will not change, they will not be able to change. So you have to build up the right culture in the organization right from the start when you are one person, one man army. Start having your departments, functions, finding out the right technology, processes, policy frameworks for that. And that requires a basic change, good change management aspects. Once you have the right processes, you have the right systems, you have understood your customer, you deploy and institutionalize. You further train your employees. You further train sometimes you have to train your customers as well in terms of how to use the product, how to use your services. Review them regularly. Have a better customer service managers. Identify the risk involved into that. Work on security and controls. Nowadays, with an online scenario, you will have a lot of issues on cybersecurity. Your entire business can go down if you're an online world. There is a concept called darkroom manufacturing, which is emerging right now, wherein there will be no people in the manufacturing plants. You will put input into that into that room, and the product will come out. These are the kind of benefits which you will be getting when you have the right processes into that. When you do the business modeling, you should have a robust plan A, fair plan B, and a conscious plan C as well. If one fails, you should be able to adapt to the second level immediately. And that is why adaptation is very, very important. Create an ACT model, action, compliance, and task model. Deploy that into other task level as well. Use a 5 why approach. Why are you doing it? Why it will happen? Why it could go wrong? 5 things every business needs is numbers, cost, people, market trends, and data. If you have these 5 things available with you, your business, and if you can monitor that on a day-to-day basis, your business will never go out of the business. Strategy and operations are definitely two pillars. So one is the strategy which comes from your thought leadership, and operations comes from process and digital transformation. These are two typical pillars which are very, very important. So one is business side of it, second is your technology side of it. 5M, man, machine, money, method, and materials, is going to constitute the basis of every business. This topic is going to be a little heavy, so if somebody has any questions, please stop me over. I'll stop there and clarify. In today's scenario, design thinking is going to be so important for the organizations that even if you don't have a product today, you should be able to design it, considering with a 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years blueprint with that. And that is the reason why each employee of the organization, including the owner of the organization, should be skilled in a design thinking approach. They should have a lean thinking, from a frugality perspective. And this lean thinking will give you the perspective of technology transformation as well. It maps up the processes. How many people do you need? What kind of technology and systems do you need? What are the value-added activities you are doing in your businesses? What are the non-value-added activities, there are around 9 types of ways which are available in any organization, be it a small or a large organization. If your team starts coming up on their own about identifying those waste, you will find more enhanced revenues. You will have better customer delight, and you will be able to optimize your costs. Where do you need your business processes and systems? How business influence really works. Discover influencers in your space. You'll have to set your goals and clear intentions. All these things, expert impression system, customer nurturing system, everything is a process. Hiring right people and their retention is a process. We always talk about pillars: order to inquiry to order to cash. Order to cash is your customer cycle, when they give the order and finally you realize your value. Hire to retire, company when you bring an employee in your organization and they leave the organization. Account to report, accounting, when you receive the money and how do you report it to the government organization. All that comes into various different processes. Everything is a process. And what systems do you use? Once you know the right processes, you can find out whether it can be done by people or it has to be done by some systems. Like for accounting, you can use Tally. You don't need people to do the manual accounting. You just need to put an entry into the Tally system and it comes out automatically. How to do the marketing automation? Marketing automation is the second level, which is you have to do and understand over there. Identifying your target segment. Where are they sitting? Designing your creative. Social, how do you do the design, digital marketing? How do you bring the lead magnets? How do you generate leads? How do you share the information through emailers, SMS, or WhatsApp? Where do you use the payment integrated platforms? Setting up some webinars or meetings or requests, all that is the process. Now, before I move forward in terms of who are we, I would like to take a pause out here with this slide. And I will not want to go too much in the theory today, and I would want to know if anybody has any questions out there. Dilip, good evening. Do you have any question? Any question, it can be related to the earlier topic as well, doesn't matter. Are you facing some kind of a technology challenges? Are you technology, do you feel that technology has always confused you? Anything of that sort, if you have any kind of challenges. So Tapan says cyber security in banks is vulnerable in BD. How to cope with it? What do you mean by BD out there, Tapan? Can you put up a full form? Is that business development or something?
This is Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. I mean that in
Bangladesh.
Uh, it's okay. It's Bangladesh. Okay. So cyber security in banks is a big problem for a very long period of time. Indian banks and a lot of American banks have also faced that. But cyber security, there are some basic measures which they can apply, the banks can apply, and if you want some kind of a initial risk assessment on that, Tapan, we can arrange for those kind of assessments. We have been working with many banks over here who basically we do the complete assessment for them in terms of how risky their network security systems are there right now. And accordingly, we can do some minor fixes and which can help you to work out on your banking environment. So we need to do a little bit on a more detailed study out there, but that is possible. We have been working with multiple banks on the same. So if you have some requirements like that, we can definitely look at it on that. We can have a one-on-one discussion on that. Okay, anything else?
Yes, answer. Micro, small, and medium enterprise. Hello, am I
Yeah, your
audible?
voice? Yeah, now
Yeah.
you're audible.
Micro, small, and medium enterprises, they are very small. Micro means less than 5 crores of turnover. So what kind of solution you can have on the basis of the digital means transformation you are just talking about, so that they can develop their means processes like using IoT or blockchain or AI, some kind of thing. So just give some details.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev, for asking this question because it's a very valid question. And most of the times, we at micro organizations, not even micro organizations, but even your startups who just have an idea, they don't have even revenues right now. Forget about even having a revenues of 5 crores or less than that. The biggest challenge which happens with when it comes to digital transformation is that we always feel so intimidated with big terms like artificial intelligence, big terms like IoT, blockchain. But do we really require all that stuff? I don't know if you are aware, LG or Samsung, they actually give a TV, a LCD TV, by saying they have a AI enabled TV. Now for them, the AI enabled TV is nothing but a voice command on the remote of TV. That is the only AI which they have. Now that is not an AI, it is a voice command system. The problem is that our entire industry or technology industry has been taking these terms from corporates who are giants like banks. They have been able to deploy these kind of technologies. But when it comes to the micro organization, it is sometimes technology can be as simple as using a tele software. It can be as simple as using the right website development for them, using a simple integrated payment gateways over there. They may not need all that thing. If you're running an organization, I'll give you an example of a small industry which I was working with. This is a micro industry based out of Delhi. Okay. Now this industry is in a printing business. Now this printing business, it is a complete offline business where they do the packaging material printing over there, micro industry. They were running this industry from very long time. I mean, almost like forefathers were running this industry. 40, 50 years this has been going on. And they were continuously every day from morning to evening, morning 8 o'clock till evening 8 o'clock, they were working in the factories, and they were always everybody was sitting in the factory itself. The third generation came in, and that generation said, I don't want to work in the industry of this. I don't want to work in such kind of an industry. It is not suiting to my image. I want a technology industry. My interest is in computers. My interest is it in IoT. My interest is it in gaming. And that's only son of that particular company have joined an organization and was doing a job in a large bank. And this person was struggling onto that. And that's where we kind of worked out with that industry. And we spoke to the son and the father of that. This son wanted a technology based industry, and this father wanted to continue his printing industry. The marriage was, the difference was that when we spoke to them, we gave this suggestion and we worked out as a consulting with this particular industry, wherein the son started developing a small application which basically captures only the attendance of the of the employees. Now these are workers. These are workers which have every day this this owner of the organization has to go in the morning, open up the factory, check their timings, what time they are coming in, give them the work, deliver them the work of what they have to do at the every day, check the stock of the which is available over there in the factory available for the printing. Then he will hand it over personally to them. Okay, you take the material from here. The people will prepare it entire day. At the end of the day, this person will take a stock of the finished goods and will send it for the delivery. And then person will work with the delivery owner of the organization himself, will work with the delivery team to deliver the material to the customer. This was the entire process. Once they started making this application, there is a fingerprinting machine which has been put up onto the in the premises. Any worker who is coming in will have to put up a attendance over there. The time they stay in the organization, it gets captured into the system, and then the entire data analytics comes into their system over there. The second thing, what material was there lying everywhere, different places, they were not knowing. Lot of stock was getting wasted because when the new order comes in, they don't know where the stock is available, because it's a huge area of stock keeping. So we developed a simple chip based, which is called your RFID based thing, which captures the stock information every time, and that goes into a system into it. And as soon as some customer orders comes in, you create a simple CRM. There are a lot of cloud based CRMs available. You bring in the customer entry is being done over there with a simple cloud based ERP which they develop. You can find out whether the stock is available in the godown or not. And as soon as you find out that the stock is available, the system will tell them where that stock is kept. So that information is sent to the person, to the storekeeper. Storekeeper will deliver that material to the manufacturing place. I mean, the place where it is a printing is being happening. And that entire, when that thing is completed, the person as a manager at the printing side will upload it into the system that the material is being finished out. It goes to the delivery person will deliver it and put the entry into the system. This entire thing was being happening with the managers right now, with the use of technology, with the use of systems, and the owner is sitting in the cabin of his, or sometimes not even in the cabin, because now everything is online on his mobile. And they have spread their industry from one industry to 3 factories today, with 20% reduction of their stock capacity. There were a lot of wastage which was there. The entire wastage is gone now. Their people are more productive. They have enhanced the skill set of one of the person over there and made him the manager and gave him the more responsibility, increased his salary. And this entire process has been set. The same people are working more efficiently. The technology systems are simple technology systems. You do not need AI and all that right now in the micro organizations. Once they grow the business, they can definitely get into artificial intelligence or IoT or robotics kind of thing, where these people will also be replaced by the robots. Or even I mentioned about darkroom manufacturing. That's where you can see at the system. So systems or technology is not only about blockchain, not only about technology. It can be simple about having the good website, having a customer relationship management software. There are a lot of cloud-based softwares are available. Use the ERP, which is cloud-based ERPs. But you need to know what is the right process. Once you define your process, once you know what people you need, you can easily put up the technology platforms. So have I answered your question, Dr. Sanjeev?
Yes, nicely answered.
Thank you. Tapan says, new challenges with digital cash. We need it. Please explain how it could proceed. What is the business with cryptocurrency, blockchain? How far these are trustworthy? How to protect one's IPR of an innovative business idea and process? It is complex and time consuming. What is the situation in India? Okay, so Mr. Tapan, the last question of yours is going to be covered next week in the next session. How do you file your IPR? How do you find out your, what is copyright, what is patent? How do you trademark it? What are your rights as a trademark owner and things like that? How do you do the financial modeling? How do you raise the investment? All that will be covered next week. So I'll talk about it more the next week, and I would request you to ask this question again next week on that. But to answer your question on digital cash and cryptocurrency, first of all, the digital cash, what is digital cash? Digital cash is basically using a lot of blockchain technology. Now, cryptocurrency is not very evolved anywhere. While some few people are using it, they are working and making money out there. But this is it's like a gambling right now, which is happening. There are a lot of people who are creating frauds against this. They will tell you that they will give you some, cryptocurrencies and you give me hard cash, but you actually don't get anything out of it and it has no value. So in India also, our government has still not authorized a cryptocurrency till now. because there are still a lot of issues with respect to the digital cash, the identity of the person, and you cannot control on that. But yes, the wallets, the digital cash, which is available in terms of with the banks, those are definitely being used over there. So use those mediums of digital cash right now. Cryptocurrency is still not very evolved and very secured at this point in time. While there is a lot of research going on, there are a lot of businesses, startups are working in. In fact, many of the investors have stopped investing in blockchain startups also, because it is still at a very rudimentary stage. Nobody knows who is the owner of blockchain, what does it do. But yes, there are few applications which is being tried out in corporates and banks as well. So anybody has any other questions? Otherwise, I'll just complete the session today with little introduction about mine today, because I think I've not shared that till now. Okay, so I take it as no questions. Who are we? A lot of times I think people are now reaching out to me and Vasme group as well, and being asked, who are you, what are we doing, why are we doing this? And just to give you a perspective, this is our whole organization structure at Bringle. Vasme structure, you are mostly aware. I, as a co-founder, I've got 18 plus years of experience in business process engineering, transformation, and automation. We have a UK director who is based out of UK, Anil Patel, who supports in the technology aspects. He's a cloud architect. We have an investor and advisor, Sudha Jain, who is also expert in artificial intelligence and machine learning and data analytics. We have an advisor, Mr. Bhavesh Kothari, who is a co-founder and director at Millennium Divas. Millennium Divas is a startup co-founded by Maharashtra Chief Minister Advisor, as a person. Her name is Shalini, Ms. Shalini, and she is the one who is set up with him. And Bhavesh has been working with many startups and businesses as well. He's also part of CISME state president as well for Maharashtra. Who am I? Now this is I've done my bachelor's of engineering from Delhi College of Engineering, MBA in marketing and finance, ASQ certified Lean Six Sigma, Master Black Belt certified, and a PMP professional. Got 18 plus years of experience as senior corporate professional with TCS, WNS, Wipro, Reliance, SR, City. And last role, I was working as a global quality head. I had a jet speed career with 16 times growth in just 11 years by the age of 34 years itself. Helped 100 of MNCs realize 100 million plus USD worth of value to them, and worked with mostly the CXOs of the large corporates. And then one fine day, I lost my highly paying job with a flash of a second. I faced depression along with personal and professional life crisis. Left with personal and home loans and rents and my only daughter's school fees, which was due. I tried to recover my financial crisis, tried doing something which I am, of course, not very proud of today, but I had to do it to consider that. That time I realized that whatever has been taught in schools to get good grades, get a good job, actually has no future. There's nothing called job security, and it's all about fear and greed. Organizations today are struggling with the same mindset of that, and that is why they have started talking about developing a startup culture, entrepreneurship development. The only reason why it happens is that an employee comes to our organization because they have a fear of losing job. The employee side of it, that they keep slogging every day because they know that if they don't go, they will lose their jobs. And the greed is there to have a salary at the end of the month, which keeps us pushing to continue. This mindset does not even impact them, but also the organization they work for. I did do some jobs which was not even 50% worth of my capabilities. I restarted that time 7 years ago part-time with my entrepreneurship journey. Led almost a dual life with no family time and vacations because most of my time was going either in working for the organizations or part-time for my business. It took me 7 failed businesses in last 7 years and my entire savings and investment to understand that there are 4 areas, 7 pillars and 105 factors which can make your or break your business with millions of permutation and combinations around it. And that's where I decided to put this into an entire framework of Design Your Unicorn, wherein we work with solopreneurs, intrapreneurs, entrepreneurs, and business owners to help them sustain, adapt, and scale up their venture right from an idea to a unicorn level. And we are working towards a mission of developing 100 unicorns by transforming 1 billion mindsets and 1 billion businesses. This is about me. I would also like to share about Sharmila Diwatia. She is co-founder and CEO of that. She herself is a cerebral palsy patient. Working with government on giving the she has worked on defining the education policy. She has been working on defining the policy for persons with disabilities. She has just got incubation from Niti Aayog on her project of CSR project Vardhan, where she's working on the project called Restart Your Career for the midlife crisis individuals, for the people who are persons with disabilities, school dropouts, and housewives who are sitting at home doing nothing. And they want to restart their career. Sudha is more about a digital transformation consultant, and she works a lot of support on machine learning, artificial intelligence, analytics, Six Sigma, lean deployment with us. This is about little bit about us. We have been featured by Times of India's trusted brand. We are among the top 3,000 startups by IIM Calcutta and Department of Technology, Government of India. Among all the startups among North America and India, we are among the top 10 startups given by Millennium Divas. We have been featured for 21 days by Radio Masti Singapore, 25/7 Singapore, for our 21 days business sustainability challenge. We have been featured as a super startup on Fever 104 FM Bangalore. So this is what broadly which we do and till now. And this was my story or our story, which we are for the reason what we are doing. And I would be keen to know if you have some stories like this, you would like to share that, and if we can be of real help to any of you out here. So I'll take a pause, and if you want to share your stories with us, we'll be really, really great for that. We'll be happy for that. Okay, so Mr. Siddiqui says you're talking about high technology for MSMEs. Is it suitable for South Asia? Mr. Siddiqui, we have been working with South Asian companies a lot, like your Southeast Asian companies like Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, your Hong Kong, and some of those Philippines and early developed countries like that, much more less developed countries also. And even in India, MSME sector is actually not very advanced with respect to the technology. And you are very right actually that our MSME sector is actually get intimidated with all these names, big names of artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, and what all. So frankly speaking, 90% of the businesses do not even require these high-end technologies. Not even many corporates use these technologies. But yes, there are simple applications of it, and there are a lot of small applications which has come in, which will help you. Like I said, if you want to do a email marketing, you have something like MailChimp. Simple software, simple technology. You just have to know how to use MailChimp. You want to run your accounting software, you have Zoho. You want to have CRM, you have things over there. You want to run your training programs. You want to train your employees. You have simple platforms like bringalacademy.com, where you can just go and put up your courses, and your parents, everybody can access those content at their own pace. You can simplify things by that. The technology companies have used these jargons over a period of time because the corporates have enhanced their knowledge over there. But when it comes to MSME sector, for them, even using a technology like Tally is a big headache. For that also, they need accounting person with them. They need chartered accountants. They pay to their chartered accountants for the same. However, it's a very simple technology and very effective technology to be used, system to be used. Your simple CRMs. Why do you need simple, more exhaustive CRM? You just need a simple logic of, a simple CRM over there. And that is where it works out very, very importantly. Yes, Mr. Siddiqui, you can definitely share your story of being an entrepreneur. It will be really, great for us to know. You can unmute
Hello.
yourself.
Can you listen to me?
Yes, Mr. Siddiqui.
Exactly, but where I have started my business, my family background is not from business. My father was a government official. So when I started, when I approached the buyer, the established business in with my product, the product is good, the price is very competitive, but the traders are not willing to buy from me. Most of them, they says we don't have requirement. But finally, from my intelligence, I understand that they are buying, but buying at a higher price.
Right.
When I challenge them, they decline to reply. After 10 years of my trading experience, these people started buying from me at a higher price than market price. Then they asked the person that 10 years back I came to you with my product. You are not even willing to tell that you are buying this product. You denied this information. Then he says, we don't want to buy from the new entrepreneurs. We want to see the background of the businessman, whether they have a experience or family background and others. So for a new entrepreneurs, selling, marketing, everything is very challenging. It was my really challenging experience 40 years back. Thank you.
So, Mr. Siddiqui, your story is very familiar to me also, because I remember when I lost my job, and I was left with so many EMIs. That is one problem which happens with the job mindset, that we always built up a lot of EMIs with us because we think that job will always continue. The job is secured. When I started venturing into first time, I did not have even anybody to guide which business to start. And when I finally decided that, yes, I want to start this business, and I was into financial planning business, which I started off, people asked me, what is your background? Why should I collaborate? Even forget about customers, people even for collaborations used to come to me and say, why should I collaborate? What will I get in return from you? You are a newcomer. And I totally understand your aspects. And unfortunately, those times, you are talking about 40 years ago, I'm talking about just 7 or 8 years ago. There were no ecosystems available who could nurture the fresh blood, who could nurture the fresh ideas. Today, fortunately, we still have some ecosystems, some organizations like Vasme is emerging. There are a lot of startup organizations. There are some universities who are trying to work it out, helping these youngsters to develop their ideas to a different level. But even that is not enough. The reason is they themselves are not equipped. Our universities struggle a lot. I'll tell you, there is, Gujarat, they have tried to set up 760 universities. I'm sorry, 167 universities came together to develop a entrepreneurship in the Gujarat segment. They got each university or college, I think they got 50 lakh rupees worth of funding from the college, from the government to develop entrepreneurship. 2 years later, 90% of the colleges returned back the money saying we could not utilize it because they don't have the right professors who could understand. They bring in those professors who are already working into their classes and teaching. They don't have time. So you need a lot of mentors. You need the ecosystem. You should know what are the challenges which it could come. As I said, there are 105 factors which can make or break your business with multiple permutation and combinations. So I'll just give you an example. There are businesses who fail because they get so many customers at one point in time and suddenly they go away with that thing because they cannot service those customers. Have you heard of that 500 rupees mobile? You remember there was there was a company came in who was selling mobile in just 500 rupees.
Yes, Freedom.
Freedom. Where are those mobiles? Have anybody seen those mobiles? That company became a $1 billion company in terms of revenues. They made really good money and there was a case study around it. They actually made crores of rupees by just launching that product and returning that money back to the customers with the basis of their interest income. So the problem is when you have such companies and people get carried away with such kind of things, the people lose trust. And that is where your trust is more important. It is not about a new company. It is not about the old company. What matters is how you are able to build up the trust in the eyes of the customer. If 40 years ago, if they would have seen trust in you that yes, you can help them, believe me, they would have purchased the product from you 10 years ago or 40 years ago, whatever the story is. And today also, same customer, maybe or some other customers might not be buying it from you, even though you have established yourself in the market. Am I right?
You are right. You are right.
So
We
it
cannot
is not
satisfy 100% customers.
absolutely. See, first of all, not everybody will purchase it from you. Not everybody is your customer itself. Sometimes we do this mistake. Okay, we try to modify our product. Okay, I would rather say this way. What we do is we develop our product and take it to the customer to find out the customers for them. Ideally, you should find your target segment, find your customers, understand their problems, and then develop a product for them. Believe me, the trust would be much better. And I'll show you this thing again. This slide I've shown that earlier. I'm showing that again to you. Difference between customer and influencer and user. Narrow down your target segment. Before you start your business, please make sure that you have the right customer. Who is your customer? Narrow down your target segment. Let's, for an example, people say that, I am selling a health product. Now this health product can be, it is applicable to everybody. It is applicable to kids also. It is applicable to a 90-year-old person as well. But is the product going to be the same for every age group? Is the product going to be the same? You can type or say on the unmute yourself. Of course, no. Right? Thanks, Mr. Siddiqui. Now, if your product is not same for the different target segment, different customer, how can you have a generic target segment and generic product? Find out which is your best suited target segment for you, which has the most maximum problems. Find out is there any products are available in the market for serving their problems. That is why we always say identify your market share, market segment, or the targeted market size. Even product range of a Hindustan Unilever, like your soap, is different for the less than 1 year old. There is different for less than 5 years old. Then there is a different product for more than 10 years. Then there is a different product than 18 years and above. They also have different products and different brands. May not have much change, but their marketing also changes accordingly. For a product, for a soap, for a younger child, for a less than 1 year old kid, they will say it is gentle to your skin. It has no soap harmful agents. While for a person who is looking for becoming a beauty queen, they will say it will make you look beautiful. Your marketing is changed. So your customer changes, your product changes, your marketing changes. Everything, the problem area changes. So please do that target segment very clearly. Then you create your value proposition document. Look, value from their eyes of the customer. And then do your product level. And when you develop your product, develop a very small product right now, which is a testing product, which could be very small cost, where they can understand more about and you can build up trust. It's a process. Once you build up a trust with the customer with a very small product. So let's say if you want to sell health products, you first of all go to them and say, okay, it's a diabetes product. Let's say it will help you control diabetes. Now, first of all, you have to go them and educate your customers, say that how your diabetes can be controlled by various different foods. That could be a simple advice. You may give them a 1 hour session on 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 500 rupees. How you can control your diabetes by having various foods, different food items. And give them a diet plan. Once that happens, then you give them a second level of product. Okay, I will work with you for 3 months and work on your diet plan and tell you what needs to. So the need has to be generated. Once the need is generated, then you go and tell them the product. Okay, this is the product which you can use for your health, for your diabetes control. Why won't that person buy it from you? They will not go anywhere else because you've built up the trust. If you have not seen this movie called Made in China, please go and watch that movie. Wonderful movie. It's a wonderful movie to tell you about why customer needs to be educated what they need. If we are unable to sell it to a particular customer because we are unable to identify the right problem area for the customer and tell them how we can solve their problem. So sales is nothing about selling. It is all about solving a customer problems and adding value in their life. And they eventually will buy. This is what we work with most of the businesses today. All the businesses which we work have the challenges of either the revenue or the so much of time consumption they put in their work in managing the clients that they are working day in, day out. And they're not able to scale up their businesses from micro to small, small to macro, macro to small to medium, medium to a large macro organization. And that's the journey from micro to macro is what somebody can take it up if they follow these processes, and that's the journey which we work with as a support ecosystem with most of the MSMEs. I take a pause out here. I hope I've answered the question.
Mr. Jain, this is Tapan. May I ask a question?
Yeah, Tapanji, sure.
Actually, in the marketing or business scenario, we say that we heard you do not sell anything, you only sell the brand.
You
As for
only
example,
sell the
branding,
okay.
we sell the
Okay.
branding. As for example, we go to the shoe market, we always enter to the Bata. Till today, we say that Bata is good, Bata is durable, comfort. So you are not mentioned anything about the branding or brand, creating a brand. You told that building the trust, you told that quality, this kind of thing. Is it, you mean that branding?
Okay, so very good question. Tell me, how old is Tata as an organization or a Bata as an organization?
Yeah, I have no idea about the Tata and Bata when they were started. I don't know. Sorry.
At least 30, 40, 50, 100 years. Like Tata's, I know that they've been there in the industry for 70 to 100 years now. Reliance, if you talk about, they have also been into the market for now since 1970s. They are there, so it's almost around 50 years now. Okay, 79 is my year of birth, and I remember 79 when I was born. My father got debentures of Reliance Industries, the Jamnagar refinery. So my father is very proud of that. On the same day they got that. So the point what I'm trying to tell you is, they also built up brands over a period of time. You cannot build up, and who build your brand? Do you build your brand or your customer builds your brand?
Yeah, it is the both. If there is no quality product, regular supply, price, comfort, or everything from the side of the producer, and if customer is not actually encourages the producer that they buy it, and there is some reputation, I think not a single party, both the parties involved creating a brand.
Right. See, you think about like this. Okay. Nokia was once a brand, right?
Yeah.
Who made them the brand? We made them the brand. They were not the brand themselves. They came with a product which was so good. मतलब लोग तो ये भी बोलते हैं कि नोकिया का जो पहला 3330 या कुछ तो नंबर था, वो फोन 20 साल के बाद भी उन्होंने ऑन किया ना तो उसकी बैटरी चालू थी. So they were so robust products and so good products, rough and tough. It worked wonderfully well. And they did not. Was the reason Nokia said, we are the market leaders. We will never be wiped out from the market. Suddenly a company comes called Samsung, brought up a smartphone. Customer changed. Where is Nokia today? Nowhere. Same happened with BlackBerry. BlackBerry wanted to be there in the market only in the corporate segment. Security concerns, security is the best and all that. Where is BlackBerry today? It's all iPhone today. So the point what I'm trying to drive out here is, first of all, there is no constant brand. There is nothing called brand forever. You have to constantly innovate. You have to constantly understand your target segment, your customer segment. Customer changes every day, even within that target segment. I'll just ask you this question. In your family, how many members are there? Total family members?
Family, we have 5.
5. You all have same genes, right? Mostly the same genes, except for your wife, probably.
not a single jeans we are used to wear. Even three of my daughters, I never saw that.
I'm talking about
We are
human gene.
very
I'm talking about human gene.
jean is okay.
Genetics.
Genetic. I think about the other dress. Okay. Jean is
Everybody has almost the similar genetics, right?
yeah, sure.
Like your children, your parents. Let's keep your wife, let's say, separately because she is coming from a different genetics. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
all your father, yourself, or your children are all behave. Do they all behave differently or similarly?
More or less different. Something similarity is
They will
found.
always be different. Not only that, you yourself look it within yourself. Every day, don't you feel that you have learned something different and you are a different person every day? Your needs
Yeah.
enhances every day. जैसे हम लोग जैसे like we say that we probably be liking a particular food item very much. I used to love chole bhature or things like that. But now I probably may not like that much. I have other foods also which I want to try. I want now pizza as well. I have other options available. So customer also changes as we change. Customer is what human being. We ourselves changes every day. Customer needs changes every day, every moment. Why shouldn't our products be changing every day? Why should our product branding changing every day? I don't know if you're aware, but Hindustan Lever kills their own soap brand in next 6 months. They bring new brand with the same quality of product. There is no difference. New shape, new size, new fragrance, new packing. That's all a new brand. Because customer wants newer things. 90% of the restaurants closes down within 3 months. They close down within 3 months because customer wants newer restaurants, newer food item, newer taste.
Yeah.
So when the dynamics are so much, the branding also has to change. So there's nothing called branding. We sell it to the customer. Customer has to buy it from us. If tomorrow customer says that, and frankly speaking, if you see that movie Made in China, he says that who is a customer? We all say customer is a king, customer is that and all that. He says customer is an idiot. Now, why does he say that? It's not that the customer is literally an idiot. Why he says that is customer himself or herself also doesn't know what do they need. Because if they know what they need, they will go and resolve it. Why do we go to the doctors and pay 500, 600, 700 rupees for one visit? Because we know the symptoms. We know we have been having a ache somewhere, pain somewhere, we've been having vomiting or things like that. But we don't know why it is happening. For that, we go to the doctor. And doctor gives what's the same medicine. They prescribe you that medicine. The product is your medicine there. Your doctor is your advisory. So the doctor is selling that medicine for the pharmacist. Just, and then you have the customer. So you need to educate the customer. You need a person who can educate the customer. Why do they need your product? So become an educator for your customer. Once you become an educator for your customer, they will eventually buy a product of yours.
Got it. My last curiosity about your personal assignment. I see a lot of academic and other professional training you have. About the PMP, I heard that this will be very easy within the December if somebody appear in the PMP certification course. From the January 2021, it will be harder, and as a part will be attached to that. Is it? Are you the tracking of the PMI USA? I am going to appear it. Do you think that suggest me to sit for the PMP this year?
So, Mr. Tapan, what you need to figure out is why do you want to do PMP? Is it for the business or is it for the job?
You can tell me the project master of Bangladesh. I handle many projects. My friend MS Siddiqui knows. So I know how to run a project. It is my belief. But if a certification can help me to get the better consultancy.
Yeah, so see, I'll tell you again. I have done Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt from American Society of Quality. I have done Master Black Belt from Indian Statistical Institute, Bombay. I have done PMP from PMI, USA, and I've used that very well in my corporates. But believe me, it was only a entry point for me. And no
Yeah.
organization will give you the entry point just because you have a degree. They will test your capabilities also.
Sure.
Okay, it is definitely good to know as an education, as a knowledge. Yes, it will help you because once you show PMP certificate, people will trust you better because at least you have reached to that level. So definitely it will add value. But remember one thing, the application of it is going to be more important than just the degree, is all I'm just trying to say.
I heard that after December, the curriculum will be enlarged and a agile part will be added and which will be harder to pass out. How true it is, I don't know. If you have time, we and personally we can chat it later, no problem.
Yeah, we can have a separate call on that. That's not a
Yeah.
okay. Thank you so much. Anybody else has any questions? Feel free to share. I am also like you. I have also started from scratch. I didn't have money. There was a time I was even wondering whether I'll be able to pay my daughter's school fees also or not. I have sold my household gold, which I have kept it for my daughter, to attend my own brother's marriage. So I have also gone all those stages, have seen various hardships, so I can understand what challenges you might be going. There was a time when I didn't know what to do. There was nobody to guide me. And now you're getting an opportunity like a Wasme platform here. Please use that platform. That's all I can say. Rest, we can have a one-on-one call as well. Separately, a Wasme team can reach out to you. Megha, I don't want to take too much of time here if people don't have any questions because it's already 5:30 and it's too late for you also.
Anybody wants to ask any question? Sir, I don't think people have a question.
Yeah, no problem. I think we have had enough questions, so you can close the session now. Thank you so much, Megha, for arranging. And thank you, Mr.
Sir.
Tapan and Mr. Siddiqui for asking those
Have a
questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jan. Yes. Yes, Megha, you can move for vote of time. Yeah.
Sure, sir. I, on behalf of World Association for Small and Medium Enterprises, it's a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all guest speakers, participants, and Zwasme team. I would like to thank our distinguished guest speaker, Anshav Jain, founder and MD, Bringle, for making excellent presentation and making this webinar interesting and meaningful. I also like to thank our Secretary General Wasme, Dr. G.P. Agarwal, and Executive Secretary Wasme, Dr. Sanjeev Layak, for his support and guidance. Once again, thank you all of you for making this webinar successful with your contribution. Thank you, Anshav sir. Thank you, Sanjeev sir. And thank you all the participants.
Thanks, Megha. Thanks, Sanjeev sir, and everybody.